So on March 18th, 1845, John Chapman, also known as the famous Johnny Appleseed, an American legend and folk hero, died in the Worth family cabin here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And ever since then, his death has been steeped in mystery. So I'm here today at the gravesite, or at least the official gravesite of Johnny Appleseed in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It is the Archer Family Cemetery. It's a private cemetery located now in a park in Fort Wayne, Indiana, known as Johnny Appleseed Park. It is the official burial spot of Johnny Appleseed. However, there are a lot of stories that he is actually buried elsewhere. Now, one of the reasons I think that Johnny Appleseed's death is so steeped in mystery is because his life itself was steeped in a lot of mystery. He was constantly on the go. He was traveling around the country and planting nurseries of apple trees. A lot of people think that he just kind of randomly roamed the countryside, planting apple trees here and there, and spreading them throughout the country, and that is not actually what he did. He was in all actuality sort of a businessman that would travel the country and establish nurseries in certain areas that he thought were good for growing apple trees. And he was also a missionary for a little known church called the New Church. It is an offshoot of Christianity, created by a Swedish scientist known as Emanuel Swedenborg. And Johnny Appleseed, along with traveling the country to tend to his nurseries, but also spread the word of this new form of Christianity, which he believed would take over the current church and become the established religion of, well, what is, if you read the history behind it, a very short-lived version of Christianity in which the end of time was drawing very, very near. It's a very strange example of kind of a old-fashioned cult, if you will. So I think that's one of the main reasons that there's a lot of mystery surrounding him, is because his life indeed was fairly mysterious. He lived in poverty. He was constantly traveling and just sleeping on floors of people's homes. He was in the home of a family whom he had been friends with for years and had been staying with for a while, and when he passed away, the neighbors graciously offered their private cemetery for his burial. And this here is the Archer Family Cemetery in Fort Wayne, Indiana. There's only a few plots here. As you can see, this here is Sarah Archer. She would have been one of the family members that lived here in the area, and indeed was one of the Worth family's neighbors. In the early 1900s, this fence was added. This was not always here. This was put in place to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Indiana becoming a state. And it is meant to separate Johnny Appleseed's grave from the rest of the family cemetery. You can see now this cemetery is surrounded on one side by a gigantic event center. And then on the other side is the Johnny Appleseed Park, which is used for various events, camping, sports. There's a festival that goes on here every year called the Johnny Appleseed Festival. If you have a chance to get out to the Fort Wayne area, highly recommend it. It's a great festival. All the vendors at the festival are required to wear period costumes, so it's sort of like walking back in time. There's a lot of Civil War reenactment that goes on during the festival, and so you see a lot of infantrymen marching along and cannons being fired, muskets being fired. It's a really great time, so I'd really highly recommend, if you're in the Midwest area of the United States, ever check this out. Right now we're going to head over to one of the alternate grave sites in Fort Wayne. A long time ago, a developer in the area started to build a living area and build some apartment complexes, and they found an area where the Worth family cabin was originally located, and claimed that he had been buried at that site. And so to this day there is a marker on their golf course, actually, which claims to be the final resting spot of Johnny Appleseed. So we're gonna go check that out and talk about that a little bit. This here is the alternate gravesite of John Chapman, also known as Johnny Appleseed, sitting here in the middle of this apartment complex golf course. You can see there's just a guy over there playing golf. Another neat monument to Johnny Appleseed, even though it ultimately turned out to be a fake gravesite. This is the spot where the cabin once stood, and he did spend a significant time in this location, so it is pretty significant still, and I think appropriate that marker gets left here.